Hey everybody, how's it going? So after watching Godzilla King of the Monsters, especially the post-credits credit scene going on there, presumably tying into Godzilla vs. Kong, a lot of people have answers about how that might be followed up in a potential sequel, if not in Godzilla vs. Kong, maybe in Godzilla King of the Monsters 2, or I guess Godzilla 3 in general, or just any other future MonsterVerse film, whether it's in the Godzilla franchise, the Kong franchise, or a third unknown franchise as of this recording. Now, it's really interesting to note that there's a few monsters and a few different routes they can go with. Obviously, the most popular may be Destroya, but of course they can go other routes. They can make a whole new original monster, or they could revisit a concept that was scrapped in the 80s, which was Bagan. Now, Bagan is really interesting just because this creature is a super kaiju kind of mismatch, just like, a few others that have been thrown out around there. But the more interesting part of it is that the DNA source for this creature is actually a combination of Godzilla and Ghidorah. And if you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, it's very easy to believe that there is DNA samples rummaging around there of Godzilla, of definitely after all these battles, him getting, probably bleeding at several different locations, but him being bitten here and there by Ghidorah, but also obviously with Ghidorah's head now kind of being for sale and obtained by these eco-terrorists that were already comfortable with releasing the Titans one by one. It wouldn't be surprising to see if maybe they're now going to artificially make a monster to kind of finish what Ghidorah started. And considering they have that DNA sample of Ghidorah, it wouldn't be far-fetched to believe a concept maybe similar to Bagan would be instituted in a sequel to the MonsterVerse, whether it's Godzilla vs. Kong or one in the future. Now, to go a little backstory-wise on Bagan, he was originally, envisioned, if you want to put that, in that kind of terms, for an unmade 1980 Godzilla film called The Resurrection of Godzilla. And this movie, Bagan's actually based upon another character named Bacon. And this would have been a transforming god that is able to use different forms, and once he meets Godzilla, decides to fight Godzilla, isn't able to defeat Godzilla, so instead merges three different creatures into a kind of super beast, which will then, fight Godzilla. Obviously, throughout the movie, Godzilla will eventually win. And yeah, but that creature was kind of changed a bit. I guess Toho wasn't really a huge fan of the concept and the name of the character, because I guess the name of the character, it would have also been known as Baka, and that translates in Japanese to the term for idiot. So I guess they weren't really a huge fan of that. But that concept was taken and used for Bagan, which was going to be used but never eventually was used in the film, but eventually did appear in the 1993 Godzilla game called Super Godzilla. So that's really cool. I would have actually really been interested in hearing more about this, so I wish the concept could have been fleshed out more, but just based on, name value on paper, it definitely sounds like this is pretty believable if they were to give us some sort of genetically engineered monster with Ghidorah cells at this point. Combining Godzilla and Ghidorah cells makes a lot of sense in my opinion, and if you obviously have Kong fighting that kind of creature, it would make sense maybe have Godzilla join the fray, just because what's better to take on a Godzilla-like creature than obviously Godzilla. And of course, when this creature, Bagan, was introduced, it had masters. So instead of having aliens be the master, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to have the eco-terrorists be the master, maybe using a modified version of the Orca. I'm presuming that they probably weren't dumb enough to not research any of the tech being used for the Orca in case something went sideways and they would need it for their own purposes. But comment below your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think? And we'll see you guys later.